the week before, not even like 4 days before we were going to be out of the house, my brother was like, I'm just going to go up in the attic, check one more time. It wasn't a, walk-in attic. It was, you just kind of peek your head in. Flashlight all the way in the back corner, all my Barbies.
Oh no. Oh my goodness.
And for years I was like, where are my Barbies? My mom threw away my Barbies, all the way in the back. We were still finding stuff because you push stuff, and then the stuff that was fun first, you just push it, push it, push it.
I am Gloria Grace Rand, founder of the Love Method and author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Live, Love, Engage: How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. In this podcast, we share practical advice from a spiritual perspective on how to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically, so you can create a life and business with more impact, influence, and income. Welcome to Live, Love, Engage.
Namaste. Is your desk drowning in papers while your mind overflows with endless to-dos? You're not alone. That I'll deal with it later pile is doing more than just collecting dust. It's actually secretly sabotaging your business growth and inner peace. And so today's guest reveals why actually we cling to clutter and how we can break free from the habits that keep our minds and spaces in disarray. But first, I do want to welcome you to Live, Love, Engage, especially if you are new to the podcast. I am Grace, the Light Messenger, and I work with spiritually minded entrepreneurs ready to break free from self-doubt and step into their highest potential. And using my proven love method, I help them build unshakable confidence, attract premium clients, and create a soul-aligned business that thrives. So, as I said, I'm going to be bringing up here in just a moment the amazing Lisa Geraci Rigoni. She is a best-selling author, owner and chief declutter officer of the Organizing Mentors. And she's been helping her clients reclaim their space mentally and physically for over 15 years. And I know she's going to have a lot of good wisdom for us today. So welcome, Lisa, to Live, Love, Engage.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you so much. And I love your introduction. It's so important to take time for yourself and really acknowledge what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for honoring me to invite me to your podcast. Very excited.
I'm really glad to have you because, cluttering and decluttering, I should say, is something that I have gotten better at, the declutter part as opposed to the cluttering. I was really good at doing that. And my desk is in a semi-state right now. I still could do a couple things to tidy up, but I know that this is something that a lot of people have some challenges with. So I thought maybe we'd start right there. Why is it that so many people find it challenging to get rid of clutter, whether it is physical or mental, or even, I should add, digital as well?
Yeah, good point. Very good. Very good. Well, as I said before we talked, before we went on, looking at my background, right? It looks cluttered. We just moved. So I unpacked everything in my office, and everything doesn't have a place yet on there, but that's my new bookcase that I didn't have in my old house. So I'm trying to play with where I want things, but everything is useful. That's I'm on the other side. That's my drawer of all my materials, my paper and pens and notebooks and stuff. And so it might look cluttered. And this is one thing that we don't judge when we walk into someone's house. They've called us for a reason. People come to you for a reason, right? Okay, how can we help you? How can we mentor you? And I think I grew up, I always say I come to this business honestly. I'm 58. My parents would be 90-ish right now. And I call them collectors, or I call most of my clients lifers, not hoarders, right? Hoarders usually don't reach out for help unless they're referred to us by a therapist or a family, family friend, and they have to be ready to let go. But also with them, if anybody that struggles with that, we start simply. Not, okay, we got to clear this whole house out. It's a mess. You know, no, you can't do that, right? You just, I mean, people do, we don't. But you walk into a house and you say, okay, you're struggling. How can we help? Most of it is, and like I wrote in my book, 17 Spatulas and the Man Who Fried an Egg. Most of us, I don't want to declutter. Like this has been here probably a week. No, I don't want to come home and do my own house. You know, it's time consuming. Sometimes it's stressful, and it doesn't make a difference in people's lives until it does, if that makes sense. Until you take a moment and look, or you're moving, you take a moment and you say, like you said, well, my desk has some things, but it's still, I can still function mentally, right? If it gets to be to the point where, for me, myself, and most of my clients is, I can't even find my pants in my closet, and yet you have 75 pairs of pants. You know, I can't find something, like it's too much. And most people kind of, I don't want to say want a timeout, or, you know, just say, oh, forget it. It's too much. It's, how do you eat an elephant? I say this all the time, one bite at a time. You walk in your closet, you look at your house and you say, it's too much, you know, because you're looking at the whole elephant. What I teach, and it's in my book, The Little System, the name of my company used to be Leave It to Lisa. And like I said, I have ADD, so I love acronyms. And Leave It to Lisa is LITL, the little system, LITL, the little system. So the first L is let it go. What are the things in your life you know you don't want? So when you walk in that closet, or you look at your desk over the weekend, Gloria, maybe you're sitting there and you're like, okay, Lisa had some good things to say. What can I get rid of? Or what doesn't belong on my desk at this time? You remove it, you throw it away, you move it to where you want it to be, and you've released a little of that energy. And you've given yourself a little confidence to say, hey, I can do this. It doesn't have to be the whole elephant. You know, we don't have to do the whole garage in one weekend or in one day. And I think that's what stops people, most of my clients. They've tried to do it themselves, or it's like starting a diet, starting exercise, quitting smoking. You know, sometimes you need some guidance. You need a plan. You know, I'm still holding on to the COVID-19 from how many years ago that I've gained weight. And it's like, okay, yeah, I know what I need to do to stop, to lose the weight, to remove the clutter. But you have to make a commitment to yourself. And until it gets so bad, most people won't.
Yeah. And so, and I'm not sure, I got slightly sidetracked because my cat decided to jump up on my desk. So luckily there is still space. I have a nice long table. And so he decided he wanted to take a nap here instead of on the chair where he is supposed to be. But I wanted to just kind of get back a little, because I definitely want to go some more into that little system, because I was definitely or little system.
Little system.
Sorry. The T comes before the L. But I just want to get back a little bit more on what happens, do you think, that people maybe let it get to that point where they really, really do need to have somebody, they can't just handle it themselves anymore? Is it just, it just sort of just accumulates? You get busy with other stuff and you don't notice it sometimes? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it depends on, that's a really good question, actually. It depends on so many factors. Let's just start there. Depends on the age. Now, I've worked with clients who have lived in their houses 50 years, 60 years, and it was their parents' house. People don't get rid of anything. Why would you get rid of it? You might use it someday. I call it the someday syndrome. I know there is an actual someday syndrome, but I've renamed it for organizing. Someday I'll get rid of it. Someday I'll use it. Someday I'll give it away. Someday I'll fit into it. Someday I'll sell it.
I can relate to this.
Yeah, most people can. I mean, it's in my book because this is what I've experienced in the 16 years of doing this, and also 58 years in my life. Me myself, like, someday I'll get to that. You know, it's not a big deal. So if you keep doing that, which is most of us, it just accumulates. You push things back, you push things to the side. When we sold my parents' house, finally, they were pregnant with me when they built the house. My parents both passed away. My brother lived in the house to take care of my mom, and then stayed there a couple more years just to stay there. And we were fixing up the house. The week before, not even, like 4 days before we were going to be out of the house, my brother was like, I'm just going to go up in the attic, check one more time. It wasn't a, walk-in attic. It was, you just kind of peek your head in. Flashlight all the way in the back corner, all my Barbies.
Oh no. Oh my goodness.
And for years I was like, where are my Barbies? My mom threw away my Barbies, all the way in the back.
Oh,
We were still finding stuff because you push stuff, and then the stuff that was fun first, you just push it, push it, push it. So there's not a reason, like I said, until there's a reason. And people are, not every person, but a lot of my clients, a lot of people in, where I live in my area, were obsessed with purchasing and buying and feeling that high and that equal to, almost better than, like, I know I get a high when I buy something I need, or, when I don't need it and I find a deal. I'm trying, I'm working on that. Like I said, I come to this business honestly. Now that I know what's in my closet, I know we're in a new house. I've gone through everything. I don't need to buy new rugs. I know where all my rugs are. I don't need to buy it because it's on sale and I think it would look pretty in my house. There's a keeping up with the Joneses. There's an insecurity. And I think in our country that if you don't have the newest, you're not keeping up. People are obsessed with buying and purchasing and filling up. And that's a big reason why people don't notice. We have bigger homes. And even if we don't have bigger homes, we're filling up the little homes that we have. Yeah. And boxes of stuff in bubble wrap on shelves, in closets, in attics, in basements, in garages. So I don't have an answer to that, but that is what I feel is the big, I don't know if precursor is the word, but reason why we have just so much stuff. And during COVID, people decluttered, and I was doing seminar and teaching, and it was great because people were organizing. But then they weren't taking things to donation. The landfills were getting filled. There are people in this world, in this nation, in my neighborhoods that don't have a pair of shoes, and we're throwing them in the garbage. There's a big need for what you have in your house and you don't need or want anymore. Give it away, donate it, find a church, find Habitat for Humanity, or, a local something in your neighborhood, because people need it. And I think that stops people too. Where am I going to take it? Even though, and it's easier to throw in the garbage. Oh, breaks my heart. But yeah. I could go on and on about that forever because it's very important to me.
Oh, absolutely. And I moved from a house into an apartment, and my husband and I separated. So I'm still go back periodically to the house and see, like, okay, what is it, that I really need, or what have I left behind that maybe I don't really need anymore. And at one point I played the organ. And so I had like all of this music. And so I brought all that music here to the apartment, and like, okay, I need to go through this. And I realized some of it were books that my older sister used, who's 10 years older than me. I mean, some of these are really old. I mean, they were from like the 50s. And I'm like, okay, am I really going to use these? And so I wound up, whatever was in halfway decent shape, I did donate, because I thought, maybe somebody else, might be out there who might find some value in this. There's a few things I still kept that I still want to do some research on, to maybe they're worth money. I'm not sure.
Right, sure.
But you don't know. But the bulk of it I did get rid of, and I had like choir music that was like, Xerox copies of things. I've got 3 copies of Angels We Have Heard on High. I only need 1, and things like that. So it's so good.
And it's time consuming too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I did do it a little bit at a time. Like you said, it really makes all the difference.
And sometimes it's emotional, and that's what people don't. I have a couple chapters, I think, on loss and grief. and someone passes away, or even a divorce. It's a death of a future, of a what if, of this is what we were going to spend the rest of our lives together, and now we're not. And a friend of mine, 48 years old, just passed away from brain aneurysm. And just, you never know, right? And so people we don't want to feel sad. We don't want to relive those feelings of sadness or grief or heartache or trauma or whatever the situation is packed in that box. I work with a lot of therapists, and I researched a lot of therapists for my book, the one that I refer to my partners and other people that I just respect, and said, am I on the right track for this? And they all said, yes, we don't want to relive it. But what you don't realize, most people, they feel like they're going to go right back to that sadness and that grief and that heartache. And who wants to be sad? Who wants to feel that? But what we don't realize is, yes, we are going to feel emotional unpacking that box, literally and figuratively, right, in our head, the memories and all that. So get your favorite drink of choice, a beer, glass of wine, cup of tea, shot of whiskey, whatever. Open up that box. Go through it. You are a different person. You healed, you've grieved, hopefully, and go through it, because the fear we have of how we're going to feel going through that box is more intense than what we're going to feel going through that box.
And
an
important point. Yeah,
it is. And I think, now that I'm thinking about it, I think a lot of us don't go through stuff because of that fear. Whatever it is, fear of, oh my gosh, I spent all this money and I never used this, or I just bought another one of these and I already had 3 of them. You get angry with yourself. You get, oh, and my wife made me buy that, and now we already have it. And I did this to my husband a couple of years ago. We always went to his parents' house. His mom just passed away, but we always went there Thanksgiving in Chicago. We're now in Virginia, to make ravioli on Thanksgiving for Christmas Eve dinner. So we had this pasta maker. And I said to Gene, this was my mom's or his grandmother's or somebody's. We never use this. Should we keep this? And he's like, no, we'll always go to mom's. So COVID, we were here, and I was like, let's make pasta. My brother, his son, and his husband were there. And it was just us, at the house. And we were looking all over for that darn pasta maker, and we got rid of it. My husband was so mad at me. And I was like, well, we weren't using it, and he's like, well, now we're going to have to buy a new one. So I went on Facebook Marketplace, bought one. It fell apart like in 2 minutes. We made like no pasta. Then I found another one. And then the next year, a client was moving, and I said, oh, that's a pasta maker. My husband, oh, please take it. So now, great, Gloria, we have 3 pasta makers. One of them's broken, because I just have to keep it, because just to prove to my husband that I got it. We have 3 pasta makers. Have we made pasta since 2020? No. But now we have 3 of them. So it's that whole, you get angry, you buy something. It's just all of those things, So now I'm going to give my brother one for Christmas, because he was here when we bought the other ones.
That sounds good.
But everybody has it. Everybody has it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to be right back, and I want to dive in some more in the rest of your system and find out, because we covered L, but we haven't done ITL yet. So we're going to be right back. So yes, I just wanted to take just a quick moment and talk to you about, how are you starting your day? Do you feed your mind and soul with something inspirational? If not, I would love to invite you to subscribe to my daily messages of love and light. So each morning you'll receive a short quote to start your day. And they're just, these lovely little nuggets. I mean, one of my subscribers, Mary Jane, said that, it's a perfect line to wake up to. And Marie says that, she finds herself looking forward to reading each one in the morning, because they're short and sweet, and at times thought-provoking. So if you would like to do that, you can subscribe at bit.ly/love light notes, and each word is capitalized, and I will have that in the show notes, so don't worry. And of course, if you're watching this, you can actually see the little scroll go by. And if you find that you aren't getting any value out of them, you can always unsubscribe. So no worries there. All right. Well, let's get back. And I want to bring Lisa back on because, yes, we need to go through the rest of your system here and explain to us what it all is and what it all means and how you help folks.
Sure. Yeah. The little system came about, like I said, from Leave It to Lisa. And when I started hiring people and training people, and people wanted me to teach what I do and how I do it, because we are a little different in our thought process. I love Marie Kondo, all about the joy, but it's not all about joy. It's about what works and what keeps and what makes you happy. You know, you might keep that one mug that was your grandfather's and it makes you sad every time you see it. Excuse me, I've had a cough all week. I sound like a 12-year-old boy. But it might not bring you joy necessarily, but you want to think about him. So you see it and, you know, it's important for you. There's things on here that remind me of my dad. He's passed away. Makes me sad, but I also say, well, my dad bought that for me. You know, there's things that are meant to be kept and things that are not, right? But it's very personal. It's very unique to you and each client. So the little system can be used for people on their own. And I that's my next book. I haven't had time to do that. Like we were talking, having a book is another full-time job. I do want to get the little system out because it's more of a step-by-step and taking you through the process. I joke that in every house that I'm in, there's an organizing book on the shelf. And I always ask, have you read it? Well, yeah, but it got to be too technical, too much. And I couldn't do it. So I wanted my book to be different, and it's about organizing, and the little system is in there, but it's also about why we hold on to stuff and the questions to ask and the reasons why. And so when people are using the little system, we use it with all our clients. We start every project with let it go. Why did you call me? Well, I don't know. I want everything in my kitchen. Okay, why did you call us if you think you're going to take everything? I'll tell you a really quick story. I went to a family friend, sister, and then her mother. We worked with her mother, and I think the mother's sister came into her house. They cooked a lot. They have a lot of family, big family. I'm going to keep everything in the kitchen. I just want you to help me organize it. Well, I have a Sienna minivan, still do. I've had 3 of them. Just love it. The whole back of my minivan was full with kitchen stuff that she had 3 or 4 of them, or was obsolete or broken, or, I have a better one. The whole minivan. And this was a woman who said, no, I'm keeping everything. We just have to organize it. So once you see what's in there, that changes your perspective. The lady with the 17 spatulas in my book, she didn't realize she had 17 because they were all over the place. And she kept the things that meant something to her, that literally felt good in her hand, served a purpose. So we keep things negatively and positively because they serve a purpose. And you don't know why until you look in. And sometimes, again, there's that fear again. I don't want to find out why I'm keeping this, or I don't want this. It's difficult, right? So the L is really to give our clients and ourselves confidence. Okay, there might be one thing in this drawer I don't want, but let's do it. One drawer, let it go. In your closet, 17 pairs of pants. I'm 5 different sizes the last 4 years, right? So yeah, I need a pair of this and a size here and a size here because I don't know how I'm going to feel. But all those other ones in between, I can let them go. Those make me feel horrible when I'm in them because they're the biggest size and I had to buy them because blah, blah, blah. Well, Get rid of those. If those make you feel uncomfortable or bad or whatever, get rid of them. Keep the other ones that maybe are the same size, but you feel really good in them. Right. So you go through your closet, and instead of taking everything off the shelves, or like my thing, take things off the shelves that you don't want, that you don't want, the let it go. And then all of a sudden, even if your bookshelf had 20 books, you took 3 off. Those are the 3 I don't want. And then maybe after you finished all the books or all the clothes, you go back, and this is where people get confused, and this is where people stop. The I is intentional. And that is where we go, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to need those pants again. Well, they did fit me and I did like them and they go great with this shirt. It's more of you have to talk it through. And that's really where organizers and we come in to be that, advocate and that second set of ears and eyes and hands. And well, what do you think about it? And, walking through it. And that's where people stop, because like you were at the house, right?
Right.
Well, I don't know. This means a lot. Like this was something we had since we were married and young, and maybe he wants it. I don't know. Should I give it to the friend? Like and then you just go, forget it. I'm done. And that's when people stop. So you have to get through the let it go before you go on to the intentional. If you stop on something like that dress you paid a lot of money for and you never wore it, I might wear it. I don't know. Oh gosh, I can't do this. I'm going to have a glass of wine. I'm going to go put on Netflix. No, put that on the side. That's an I don't know. Keep going. Let it go until all the let it go is done. And you might come through again with more let it goes, right? Okay. After a while you say, oh, I still have 15 pairs of black pants. Right. Okay, let me go through it again.
Well, let's get through. Yeah. I was going to say, So explain that. Maybe a little bit. How does that work in practice?
It is difficult. This is the one where you open that fear, that box that I don't know. You sit down, you take time. Intentional is the take time step. And again, that's where people have the most difficult. Once you've gotten through that, and that's not the whole house, that's maybe one space, right? One closet, one bookcase. T is transform. Mm-hmm. And I love this step because it's almost the last two are the outcome of doing the first two. And that takes commitment and time and setting yourself a date and time. Like you did this live. We have to do this at this time. I'm going to declutter for the next hour. I'm going to let go of 5 things from this closet. T is transform. You've transformed your space. You've transformed yourself. And most people are like, oh, I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know I didn't want 2 trash bags full of clothes that I'm going to donate to the shelter. And you've transformed. The energy in the space transforms. And then L, the final L, is love it and live it. So after all of that work, you're confident, your space has changed, you feel better, you feel lighter, you love the space, hopefully, and you're living in a lighter space, and you've transformed the whole area. Just making that commitment, I say you're already in transformation because you've committed to making a change. Like anything in your life, right? Any big change, you have to commit to it. So that's the little system. So it's simple, not easy, right? You still have to do it, and you still have to make those decisions.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I can relate to this so much. The intentional part is interesting to really think about that. I have, and again, I have 2 little file cabinets, like mini ones. I mean, basically like a cube. One of them is filled with all of like papers and things. I mean, going back to like, I went through some of this and it's like my first paychecks. Okay. We're talking, 40 years ago.
It's fun to keep one of them, just to say,
and that's it. And so that's like, I'm going through and saying, okay, well, some of it too, I'm scanning. It's like, so let me keep a digital copy of it so I can get rid of the paper on some of this. And then I've got another one that's all filled with the kids stuff. And I kind of looked at that once and then I was like, okay, I know I need to do the same thing. It's like really so you know what, let me ask you about that. Cause I'm sure, a lot of parents out there, and you probably come up with this, all this wonderful artwork that our wonderful children do, and they bring home every year, every grade. How do you help folks? Again, I guess it's the same type of thing. It's like figure out maybe one thing of that year, maybe, or
yes, this is a difficult one, right? Because we think we have to save everything. And I thought I still have 3 bins of my daughters. I have one daughter, she's 21. When we moved, her and I sat downstairs because I still had high school stuff and my memory boxes, right, that I went through. If I didn't remember who gave it to me, remember the circumstance, right? I had all those little notes and those little finger things that you'd had to choose, and I don't remember what those were called.
Yes, I know.
Do you remember those?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you open it up. I had so many of those. Yeah. And I thought, do I really need these? I don't, right? Recycle. For my daughter's things, and this is what I, coach my parents and even older parents, right? Even us, my daughter's 21, have them, even, well, younger or older, have them pick out of every year, maybe a couple things. We did this during COVID a lot because kids were at home and they were drawing and they were posting pictures all over the place. What I used to do with my daughters, I would mail her grandparents items, and even aunts and godparents and things like that. So every month, every week, probably every 2 months, they would get a little drawing from Marina with her name on it, or two, if she could write, or a little heart or something, and they would put it up on their refrigerators. And that kind of got things out and it made them happy. It was a little gift from Marina every once in a while. And so how I suggest is, for me, and this is what I did with Marina, if there was a handprint or a date on it, because we get so many that aren't dated. I don't know if this was kindergarten or junior year. You just tell by the basics, writing skills, or if they hit a plateau. A lot of people take pictures on their phone, so technically they still have it and they'll always have it. A lot of people make digital books, those when you go on trips and stuff like that. And this is where I go back and forth, because now you have a book that after you pass or someone grows up, or then you have this book. So what do you do with the book? There's no answer to it.
I know.
But the kids' things, instead of keeping everything, have them maybe put out 5 things and say, which one do you remember? Or which one makes you happy? Or which one do you love? And keep that one for that year. It's different. It's so difficult because you want to keep every memory. Yeah. But if you go back 10 years and you think, I don't even remember what year this was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I love and this is for if anybody is a new parent out there, or perhaps a grandparent, you can also, instruct your kids about this. I love the idea of, as the kids are growing up, to share the love with the relatives, to lighten the burden, so that you don't have quite as many things that you're keeping. Right. Because especially when they're young, it's like almost probably every week, they're probably
exactly, and it's a star,
some new art project or something.
Right. Yeah. And they make people happy. My mom and my in-laws loved getting those things. Mm-hmm. And Marina would, when she started writing, she would write a little note or whatever. It just made them really happy, And I started an estate sale company also called Recycle the Love. And that's kind of the same feeling. Marina loved making it. I loved seeing it. I don't need 17 of them. Let's donate and let's give, recycle her love. And her artistic ability, which was like very nothing when she was teeny.
Oh yeah, it is amazing, and also, even when I was going through things, is just also finding the things that my mom had saved from me. Oh, and boy, that was like another trip down memory lane. Yeah, just like some of this stuff. So again, it's like I'm still saving it, like I said, on digital form, and it's like, and I'm sure my kids probably won't care and they will just delete the file. But for me, it was lovely to revisit that memory. And then save it. So in case I do ever want to go, I plan on living a long time. So maybe another 20 years from now, I'll go back and look at it, what the heck?
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's his history, right? And you look back at where your first paycheck.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, wow, gosh, yeah. Oh, I love that company. Oh, I hate, that one guy I worked with. Oh, forget it. And you you do that. So it is kind of fun until we can't remember. I say, keep them,
I think that's definitely the important point.
Right.
My goodness. So our time is flying here, and but I think we have covered a lot. But I wanted to ask you one other thing, because this is a question that I'd love to ask my guests. So, what are you curious about right now?
I'm curious about the state of the United States. I'm curious about where my daughter what she'll do after she graduates in the spring. I'm curious. Let's see. I'm curious how my business will evolve. And like we talked about earlier, if I, will be able to sit back and do other things in my business, because it's always been me. And now I have 9 employees and we're growing and I have this other business. So I'm really curious about that. I know I always trust in the universe and God and, you know, whatever is happening out there to keep us safe. But I'm also, I know the path is going to be okay for me. I'm just curious of what it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, I second that as well. about all of those things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be, I do feel that next year is going to be an interesting year. It may be challenging, but I also think there's going to be a lot of good come out of it.
Oh yeah, there always is. Yeah, there always is. Even with, you know, the passing of my friend, learning so much more about her, and, you know, all of that is, you know, and the impact she made, you know, and you know, so there's this horrible thing that happened to a young person, a beautiful soul, but it's changed me too, because I mean, I work with a lot of seniors, so I'm around cognitive disorders and dementia and people passing, and what's important to them, it's not the stuff. It's holding someone's hand. It's a smell. It's music. It's reliving something or seeing a picture, you know. And I say this a lot, but it has new meaning now for me these days, is the stuff about your stuff is not about your stuff. So the stuff we make up about our stuff physically or what's happening in the world, it's not about that. It's about the stuff. It's about what we make of it. So I was with someone yesterday. Gosh, I'm surrounded by this. His good friend's wife's father just died of a brain tumor. Husband was just diagnosed with a brain tumor. And I said, Doug, well, you know, we've already done that this year. Like, it's not going to happen. You're fine. It's, you know, we're going to pray for you. But we've done that in your family already. Like, he's like, Lisa, I don't see you a lot, but you're always so positive. And I said that, you know, I'm a rose-colored glasses, because if I take them off, I'm not going to like what I see. And I'd rather do this. I'd rather think positively. And if some crappy thing happens, okay, what can I learn from it? It's not all the time. Like, I sit in my dirty diapers often, because you have to. It's your situation, you know. But then you think, okay, this is my situation. How can I make it better for me? You know. So I work on that daily, to tell you the truth. Work on it daily.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm so glad Joy popped in here to say, hi, wonderful ladies. Grateful to hop on here for a wee bit, and beautiful wisdom that you had.
Oh, thanks, Joy.
So I appreciate that. Yes. And positivity is one thing we can control.
It's very, very true. Thank you. Yep.
For sure. So, folks are listening to this. I know that they're going to want to get in touch with you, maybe get your book, or, you know, have you help them to be more organized. So where's the best place for folks to do that?
𝘬𝘓𝑜rganizingmentors.com. And my book is available on there. It's also available online on Amazon or through my website. And I do online, I do virtual. Since COVID, we do virtual organizing. Sometimes it's difficult. But, you know, we can get through it. And if not, I can find someone in your area. I'm a certified senior and specialty move manager through NASM. So, and also organizers. So not everyone is the same. If you're reaching out, you know, call them, interview a few. I say that all the time when people say, oh, I'm not interviewing some people. Definitely, because it has to fit with you, you know. It has to make sense to you, like anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I feel like I might have to have you on again next year sometime, because it's like, I feel like we still just kind of scratched the surface. There's so many more things that I would love to ask you about, because
of course,
you know, especially about unloading like a house where you have, like, you know, that you've been in for like 30 years. I remember my mother did hire someone to help her go through that. And they were like, okay, have you used it in the last 10 years? Have you used it in the last 5 years? Have you used it in the last year? You know, to help her kind of do stuff. And
just think things through. Right. Well, I say that too, real quick. I'll say, in Northern Virginia, the last couple of winters, we haven't had like really bad winters. So thank God, because I'm from Chicago, but I still don't like cold and snow. So I haven't worn my like heavy shearling coat my big boots. But since even though I haven't worn them in 4 years, I'm not getting rid of them. Right. So there has to be a fine line between, have you used it? Do you want it? There's things like I always joke, my toilet brush and my toilet plunger don't bring me joy, and I don't love them, but I'm going to keep them around just in case I need them, right?
Exactly.
It's not the prettiest thing to have in the corner of the bathroom, but we got to keep
them in
those
handy.
things.
And
they do.
Yeah.
Hopefully not very often, but
Right. Yeah.
So those are the things, you kind of have to. There's the big questions, and then there's the little minutia that you have to ask yourself, and it's very personal.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to come back, Gloria. Of course,
right.
I would
Awesome.
love to.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it, and enjoy the holiday season as we're recording this. The holidays are rapidly approaching.
Yes, quickly.
Gotten through Thanksgiving, so here in the U.S. So it's a lot. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I want to thank all of you for listening and for watching. Thanks to Anne, who is commenting as well. Appreciate you. And it's I'm so grateful for all of you who are listening and watching, whether on social media or on YouTube, and for listening. So if perhaps this is your first time here and you're not subscribed yet, I encourage you to either subscribe on YouTube or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We are all over the place, all the major places you'll find. In fact, on my video here, you can see a bunch of them down there, Spotify and Amazon and all those good places. So until next time, I encourage you to go out and think about decluttering, but also live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.